Anyways, let's speaking of being afraid and being activated and all kinds of stuff, I want to move forward. We got a guest tonight that I mentioned last week because I felt like last week I complained about Uber. I complained about I don't know how hard it is for me to scratch my ass and jerk off into a laptop. The theme last week was kind of like It was first world problems, to be sure.
Right.
And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm in the first world. I have problems. That's I'm not gonna. But I also kind of came to this epiphany during that, as I have often. Yeah, but I'm 41. I don't give a shit. I got to start figuring out what's going on with the world. But I don't believe in politics. I don't buy into the liberal versus conservative shit. I think that the fucking government is an asshole, and people who aren't systems aren't assholes. And so the thing that really appeals to me at a blush that I know nothing about is this concept of net neutrality. And I happen to know through Aaron this net neutrality activist, and his name is Eddie Geller, and he's here. Sit anywhere you like.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's my favorite part of the show. I get to sit down.
Perfect.
All right, so I purposely didn't research because that's
Good.
my passion, is for doing nothing. I know for sure that the words net neutrality mean that the internet is a perfect place where everybody can do whatever the hell they want, and that must mean that there's some FCC types coming and gunning for us that are trying to make sure that there's some kind of law going down the road that's going to protect the interests of corporations and things and ultimately marginalize the poor. You take it from there.
Yes, you pretty much nailed it. So net neutrality is essentially the default way that we think about the internet, that you're free to go anywhere and go to any sites, and anyone who starts a website can get to you. It's this free flow of information. And so the reason net neutrality has been in the news is because the government agency that oversees this, the FCC, had these net neutrality rules that they made in 2010. They said, all right, if you are Comcast or Time Warner, you can't fuck with people's internet. You have to let them go where they want. And those rules just got tossed out in the D.C. Circuit Court. So now it's like they're... when the internet first started, we kind of had some net neutrality rules, and then those got deregulated, and we were in this Wild West for a little bit, and then these new net neutrality rules, and I apologize that this is a little, goes a little in the weeds, but these newer net neutrality rules, which were kind of a half measure, got thrown out. So we're back in the Wild West.
So right now it's an open table.
It's essentially anything could happen, but these...
In Deadwood, you've got your Hearst moving into town. He's there. He's got his resources, but you've also got your swear engines and your other people, like whoever shoots who first.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing that happened this week is Comcast is attempting to buy Time Warner Cable. So Comcast is the biggest provider of internet and TV, trying to buy the second biggest provider, and so we're talking about a giant mega corporation that has enormous control over everyone's communications.
So everyone, remember when you seem a little younger than me. When I was a lad, that phrase "Time Warner" didn't exist. There was a time and there was a Warner Brothers.
Right.
And now Comcast is going to merge with Time Warner.
Yeah, that's what they're going to try and do. And so net neutrality activists, such as myself, we see this is a terrible thing. We don't need less companies in control of our communications.
So when we talk about being in control, because we're now, I went to Europe recently, and I was in a hotel room, and there was like a way for me to get I could get free internet. It was free Wi-Fi that seemed to be somehow in the ether, almost like a kind of ether internet. I didn't have to give a credit card number. I could get on the internet by I think I had to put my email address or something like that. But it was certainly, and I don't know how I found this out, but the porn was definitely blocked. Like it was sort of like a Disney-fied like kind of internet. Is that the world that was like when we talk about companies like Comcast and Warner Cable, because they offer cable internet, is the idea that they're going to offer, they think that they see a world where internet is like cable.
Yes.
And that they can offer these sort of packages.
Right. And this, that they can make their content go faster and run better for you at home. And then other people, smaller websites or other people making content are going to, have a second-class internet.
So you go to the president's website who's telling you, hey, I'm the president. I had an Easter egg roll and a car wash, and I love guns or I hate guns. And in either case, like, fucking pay attention to me. And it's like, whoosh, comes through you at maximum bandwidth. And then you go to a GeoCities page where someone's like, fuck the president, fuck the government. All governments align. It's like, you can't read the first 3 words. It's slowly loading.
Yeah, exactly. And that actually, something like that actually happened in Canada where this telecom had its union was striking against them, and so the telecom blocked the website to the union. So it's it's like we see these little things that are fucked up, and it's not all going to happen tomorrow. It's like tomorrow the internet is not going to all be this like dire situation, but these are the things they're capable of doing.
But we might as well be talking about telegraph neutrality or telephonic neutrality, which are a lot. As you said, the FCC is involved. The FCC shouldn't even fucking exist anymore, because the insane thing is that the reason they existed. This is me going back to my freshman year communications class, but what I understand about the FCC is that the reason they exist is because there was this thing called radio, and we just invented it, and we thought that it was like a big pie, and each slice was a frequency, and we need the government's help so that everyone can have radio. Everyone gets a slice, and we got to make sure that nobody gets too big a slice, or that there's not enough slices, blah, blah, blah. Cut to these people telling you that Janet Jackson's titty is offensive during the Super Bowl. It makes no sense. It has nothing to do with anything, because far since the FCC was established, we found out that there's no such thing as limitations on frequency. It doesn't matter. But the thing about government is that, God bless them, they're only trying to help, probably, usually, but they never fucking go away. Once they're around, they never go away. And I'm not being a libertarian by saying that. I'm just being a human being and saying, once you invite these guys into your life, and they start telling you, like no one's ever going to have a meeting where they go, so that's it, FCC's finished, huh? All in favor? No more FCC? It never happens. So they're still around, and it doesn't. Like, why are they still around?
Well, no, and I think like stuff like the Janet Jackson nipple thing is ridiculous. But there is also a school of thought which I subscribe to, which is like, in an ideal world, we want someone like the FCC, to say that these Comcast of the world cannot.
But you made it sound like they were protecting us in an ironic twist.
Yeah, well, I mean. On the internet, so it's like, the FCC has sort of a wide purview of things they do. And so the hope would be that on the grounds of the internet, that they would tell these huge corporations that you cannot fuck with people's access, right? And that's a totally different story than, Janet Jackson's nipple. This is, clearly two different things. But I totally get your point.
Right. All right. So let's set up the chessboard right now, and hopefully you can explain it to me, like where the pawns are, where the kings are, etc. We've got all of us who don't give a shit about anything,
right,
who would never impinge on anyone's right to do anything. Everyone listening to me, everyone in this room, every human being that was born with a beating heart. We've got all those people. Now we've got those people all the done deal. No one's ever going to fucking vote for anything or do anything unless they're operating on some kind of weird agenda. Now, so now let's bring in the corporations. What is their relationship with the government in all of this?
So if the FCC, I'll go back to that for a sec. If the FCC actually wanted to do something, wanted to be really good and go back to regulating the internet the way it had been when it first started, and really like put the hammer down, then what would happen is these corporations who have enormous lobbying power would actually tell Congress to be like, cut the funding for the FCC, not necessarily destroy it, but deplete it severely. So I mean, there's so much power, and they have so much influence, lobbying not only Congress people, but going to the FCC and lobbying the people who work over there. So, I mean, it's a gigantic foe. I mean, there's no two ways.
Now my brain's a balloon animal, because I'm really realizing the extent to which I started babbling about the FCC and how it should go fuck itself, and you're like the biggest fan, because it's like the government is like the only recourse of us being like a European nation where it's like they're protecting us somehow.
I know nothing about this. What's the danger that they will actually control certain content based on like if Fox controls Comcast or whatever, they want to control certain political content, or
they'll be. I mean, go ahead.
The fear is that Comcast would, prioritize their own content and block and slow down content that's not theirs. Were you talking about that or the FCC?
I mean, I was going to like an Orwellian kind of like.
Well, imagine,
I'm all in for Orwellian.
Physically, geographically, let's look at it like a map of the city, and let's pretend that the internet is traffic.
Yeah,
like it's the streets, it's the infrastructure.
Okay.
So I think that's why you're saying the FCC needs to be involved, because the government needs to be involved in which lights turn green at which time,
right?
And which streets are widened and which are not. And if you privatize the city streets, then the Pinkberry is going to go, okay, where are you going? You're going over to Mom and Pop's yogurt shop at rush hour? You know what? We got to close that street down anyway. It's like,
exactly.
we're giving privatizing things that everyone uses is never a good idea. I'll go out on a limb here. Be it health, education.
So where do we stand right now? Are we in some sort of crisis right now? Like, are we in the balance right now?
Well, yeah, it's kind of precarious right now. So the FCC is saying, actually, now that these rules have been thrown out, they're considering what they're going to do next. They say they still care about net neutrality, though the new head of the FCC is a former communications lobbyist, which shouldn't surprise anyone. That's pretty much how our government works. But the hope is that, we were talking in the back about how, hopeless this might be. And, that might be true. But, like, activists, people I work with, it's like our only thing. It's like, well, we got to fucking do something. Like, even if it's a petition and we have to, go down to D.C. and yell at these people,
Well, what we were saying in the green room was, because Kumail said, man, you guys got to, this stuff's so important, and then everyone has such a short attention span. You guys got to change it from net neutrality to, butt fun or something. And it's like, yeah, but, the real danger, the real problem is that, we're competing with people who work legislatively, bureaucratically. Their joy in life is to hang out, push buttons, yes, no, vote on this, I believe in this system, I'm the thing. The problem is that the beating heart of humanity, the regular person who just wants to hang out and live their life, pursue their happiness, you can convince them to get invested in toppling over a statue of a horrible monster. You can convince them to sign a petition. You can convince them to stand on their desks and say, "Captain, my captain." We love those moments because we're dramatic people and we love stories. What we don't love is long, hard fucking slogs against the forces of night, because that's called working at a DMV. We don't want to hang out and fucking from 3 to 6. I guess I got to get on the internet and click this so that we can keep our internet free. There's got to be a way for us to, and also it's like we're talking about now they've convinced us that it's a fight between the government and corporations. Jesus Christ, who the fuck wants either of these guys to win that fight? The internet was kind of ours. We have a chance to keep it, take it, and fucking keep it.
Isn't Christian Slater supposed to come along and save us from all that?
We got by pumping up the volume. Or are you talking about Gleaming the Cube? I don't know which Christian Slater movie.
I'm saying he's supposed to come along in some fashion.
I have no. Getting into the nitty gritty of who owns the internet, for a long time the answer has been kind of up in the air, and what we don't want is for that to have an answer ever.
Right.
The way that we kind of didn't want in the days of Manifest Destiny, it was like, okay, we're gonna make a nation, and then there was a war between the people who wanted one big old country and the people who wanted each state to be independent, and then we get tricked into thinking that we have to choose between one good guy and one bad guy, and it's like, they're all a bunch of fucking politicians.
Right. No, and I totally agree with your butt fun theory of change. No, and I really...
It's Kumail's butt fun theory of change.
It might have been fun butt. I'm not sure. I don't want to defame. But I really think... So in Iceland, there's a politician... called Jan Narn. He was a comedian, and he started this joke party called the Best Party. And they promised free towels, and that they would listen to women, and like making
free towels.
Yeah, free. And
That's
so
crazy.
It started off as this joke, and then became like a real thing, and he actually got attention and became the mayor of Iceland. And so that's
because it continued to be entertaining.
Right, exactly.
The way Walking Dead does, the way True Detective does, the way like we've got a nation of people who can agree on one thing for sure. You got our devotion if it suits our consumption.
Right.
Devotion without consumption is tyranny.
No, but I think I thank the crowd for being in it for this wonky sort of discussion, but that
no, they like listening. They're into it. And if they're not, fuck them.
But the thing is, I mean, like, I hate to sound thick about this, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be afraid of right now: the government or the corporations.
That's why we got to figure something out. We don't have to figure out today.
What am I supposed to be like? Where am I supposed to aim my BB gun right now?
you should be for net neutrality.
Well, I certainly am, but I don't know what building I'm supposed to go toilet paper right now.
I think if, the corporations, I hate to sound so simplistic, would be the bad guys in this situation. And if you're an average citizen, then you are hopefully telling the FCC, telling your representative that you want net neutrality. And, you're trying to counterbalance.
But you're saying the head of the FCC is a former lobbyist.
He is. But, I mean, if they only hear one side, then we're doubly fucked. And so it's like, yes, the system is totally, going against us, but we go and we yell at them when we can.
But isn't the internet punk rock enough? Like when they came after Napster, we all used to a long time ago go get music for free, and then that like peer-to-peer stuff. And we all used to get whatever we wanted. Then that became illegal. Then gradually we all go, okay, fuck it. iTunes, 99 cents. Then Spotify comes along. There's a way to monetize that, and we pay for that. It always seems like the internet finds a way to make it egalitarian and to make it like freebie and sexy and punk rock. Aren't there enough cool revolutionary?
But we're talking
hackers?
about the actual structure of the internet.
Yeah, so I'm saying, is there no way to get underneath that and to subvert that, or no?
I mean, there are people who talk about that, but it's not something that one should count on or looks like it would be any sort of viable option. I mean,
actually, it sounds like the only heroes right now that you can actually rely on are the hackers, are the anonymous people, the people who are simply anarchists, are simply in favor of subversion, and of course you can't rely on them to do anything but corrode, which is what I want them to do.
If there were ever another revolution, like in the way that we revolted against the English, and the way certain countries revolt against empires, the next revolution would have to be an information one. It would have to be. It wouldn't be a country. There's certainly there would still be countries that revolt against their imperial masters, but the next one would have to be us revolting against a control like that.
I feel like it's going to be lead pipes in the street because of information.
Well, yeah, because when there are riots and people go protest against the World Trade Organization, or whatever, the first thing they do is they switch off your cell phones, and that you can't text, and if you do, you go to jail, and they will make. And
I think they're going to do that here, and I think that I foresee
the moment they switch off our fucking phones, we will have to revert to lead pipe technology because that's all we will have at our fingertips.
Yeah,
but we won't know how to fucking make a lead pipe because we won't be able to Google how to make lead pipes.
Well, so Google it now.
Print it out.
That's what we're saying. I
want revolution. I mean, I don't want to live in a time where there is revolution because upheaval is a bummer and everybody starves.
For 40-year-olds, yeah. I don't have the back for it.
It's a big fucking drag. It's nice to live in a country or to live in a world where there has been a revolution in the last century because we're all the beneficiaries of incredibly noble
rebirths, the new paintings,
men and women that stood up and fucking did crazy things. The lights will go out for a while, and when they shut the lights out on us now, it's the lights out in a whole different way. Like you and I, Dan, and I don't know how old are you, Eddie?
I'm 30.
Yeah, so we talked about this before. Like there was a time when lights went out, and it didn't mean that much. You lit a candle, and you didn't have a fucking cell phone anyway. Like now, the moment they start fucking with our ability to communicate with each other on the level that we're used to, people are going to lose their minds.
So there has to be a weird kind of Luddite revolution, because for the people that are the biggest fans of the technology and the
It's
access
called steampunk, bro.
we have to start talking to each other now. We have to create a network of Dixie cups and strings to prepare, to doomsday prep for the man coming down on us. I mean, I got to tell you, Eddie, like I think you're one of these people that's like you have the practical solution, and you're the one that actually is practical about it. And I feel like just this dumb would-be Han Solo who's decided that he's going to do nothing, and that's more convenient, because I feel bad for a genuine, hardworking, erstwhile net neutrality activist who has found themselves in the position of petitioning a fucking corrupt government official in hopes that they'll protect them more than Yoplait.
Yeah, I know, and no, thank you for that.
But there's got to be a way around this. There's got to be a way we can just flip this whole cop car over, because we have net neutrality right now, and we should use it in a sign of fucking.
So Eddie, who are your sights set on right now? If there's a car, like a metaphorical car, you could flip over without flipping over an actual car. Like, what is it?
That's a good question. I haven't thought about it in those terms. I
guess I'd blow up the puppies first. Net neutrality over.
I feel like
I'm the wrong guy on.
Tell me what to point my confusion or anger or rage at.
This goes a little outside the bounds, but I mean we have such a fucked up system of campaign financing that I think everyone who hears this and is in this room knows that elections are run on money. And I think thank you very much. And until we
that guy's wearing a top hat with a
That's not the only guy that agrees with you. That's just the only guy that thinks that was a right time to clap. Not that was a wrong time, sir. I'm going to clap him clapping.
Thank you.
Good job.
So in the larger scale, and that's actually the last place I worked was working on sort of money and politics stuff. I mean, I think that is so unsexy, but I think it's at the core. It's this sort of first issue until we find a way to do, for instance, small dollar funded campaigns or anything like that. And that's not flipping the car over. It's totally not fun, but that is.
No, I mean, that is the biggest goddamn change that has to happen. And I like dipping your pinky toe into that water, all of a sudden you're tainted with your first things first, buddy, when you come through here. Are you liberal? Are you conservative? You liberal, conservative. I am against fucking capitalism being involved in civil service. I am I don't think that there's we know we yell at Olympians when they take money from Wheaties. We want them to be non-professional. We police when we want to. We figure out ways to keep money out of stuff when it behooves us. We have a whole bunch of people who are willing to jump into the now neutral internet in search of finding ways to keep money from flowing around. There's a lot of easy ways to keep money from flowing around when it comes to the fucking old white dudes that we elect to say yes or no to all this bullshit that is supposed to be, at the end of the day, should be the easiest thing in the world. It's like, what do my constituents want? How does this affect people in Connecticut? Oh, it affects apples? Well, people love apples in Connecticut. Okay, done. Instead of that guy having somehow been compromised. That's insane. It's insane that the presidency is involved in that. It's insane that we only have two candidates from two parties. It's insane that there's two parties. It's insane that we think that that's what government is. It's insane that we're taught that in high schools. It's all from money. It's all a bunch of goddamn fucking bullshit.